Hey, welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Montmanex.
We're just a couple of Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by offering our spoiler-free take on the latest film releases.
Plus, any other media we've ingested over the past week.
Whether that's the latest buzzworthy show,
An album that's been on constant rotation,
that indie darling no one can shut up about,
a cute romantic comedy,
or the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
we go over it all. $1 at a time.
Okay, I'd like to introduce you to the new guys on the team. There's going to be some guidelines for living here. Number one, no alcohol in this house. Number two, no girls in those bedrooms.
You guys sure Coach is gonna know if we've been drinking?
We're fucking drinking, man. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, yeah.
Cheers for the beers. Full throttle to the bottle.
Keep saying things like that.
I just want to talk about something else here. Just Richard Linklater, I mean, in your mind, do many people know who he is?
No, actually, it's pretty funny. The guy who I went to see this with, I went Tuesday in LA when the only theater's showing it in the country for the early release. And he was like, I know he did Days Confused. What else has he done?
Yeah. No, with me, it's like every time, you know, in film school, they ask you, fellow colleagues, they ask you to bring up, like, who are your favorite directors?
Yeah.
Everyone says Quentin Tarantino or Christopher Nolan.
Or fucking
you know,
Kubrick or Spielberg if they're kiss ass.
Yeah, and Linklater was one of mine. And every time I say that, you know, people go, who? It's like, oh, you know, the guy that
Wait,
did...
don't you mean Judd Apatow?
Yeah, that's another one. Like, but people at least know who he is. You know, when I say that, they're like the knocked up guy. It's like, yeah. Because I mean, everyone at least has seen his stuff. With Linklater, it's like, you know, I throw titles. I go, I don't say Slacker because I know everybody hasn't seen that one. But yeah, you know, Before Sunrise, Dazed and Confused. And then, you know, it's when I get to School of Rock that they're like, oh, that guy, because everybody...
I love that guy.
Yeah, everyone saw School of Rock when they were like 13. But I mean, also, if you look at his grosses, he's only got like 4 movies that made over $10 million. Like his highest grossing movie is School of Rock, and that was definitely the most appealing one.
Well, I mean, it has a TV show now, and it's a Broadway play, like that's had a long stretch. Whatever Mike White did with that script, it hit people a certain way, or maybe it's just Jack Black's performance. But
then also it's just I remember the way that movie was marketed. Like I was at that point where I was right in between, you know, being just a kid and a teenager, and I was losing interest, and I was surprised by it. But yeah, it was definitely marketed as, you know, more of this just like fun kids movie, at least on the channels that I saw it on.
It's bizarre because he's probably the most consistent auteur of our times, and yet he does have this under the radar appeal, even with a huge Oscar favorite like Boyhood just 2 years ago. You know, he consistently puts out these great films since Slacker. Like, I haven't seen something of his that I haven't liked. Probably the hardest one was The Newton Boys. That's definitely his worst film. But even still,
which I have yet to see.
There's some likable things there. Just the idea of him going for that big of a production right after Days Confused, like, it is impressive. But he has interesting stuff like Tape, which is basically a 3-person play that's told in real time. You know, Waking Life and the Before trilogy. A whole bunch of stuff.
Scanner Darkly.
Yeah, I mean, rotoscope, and he pushed it so far. But yeah, let's talk about this movie. I knew very little about it. I'd seen the first trailer months and months and months ago. Been following its release. The friend that I went with, Zamir, who's also a listener of our show. So if you're out there, hey, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
He wanted to see it because a friend of his did background work on it, and he also met Zoe Dutch, who's the, you know, I guess you could say female lead here. So he had an interest outside of just the film itself, but I was very excited. We went to Landmark, as I said earlier. We got a free T-shirt, which was pretty cool. And sadly, we didn't go for the Linklater Q&A, which was on Wednesday. We went on Tuesday instead.
Oh, man.
Yeah, just barely missed it. But he's like doing a tour right now. He's also doing one at the Aero Theater for members only. And I might be going there next week because they're having a before triple feature. And the first two are going to be on 35, so that's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I think this movie would be better titled Linklater's Greatest Hits, because it has shades of Slacker, Days Confused, as everyone wants to make the comparisons, even the director himself, Bad News Bears with the baseball stuff, and then Before Sunrise with the little romance angle that you get as well. I think it's a really nice hangout movie that doesn't really have a plot going on, and yet you get a really great experience. Like, it is a blast from the past, last days of summer, this is college, your life is the best it's ever going to be, play ball type of movie.
No, I never would have thought of the greatest hits thing, but yeah, that I can see that being true. Although for me, honestly, just the fact that he's making the comparison, calling this a spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, or in a way a continuation of Boyhood.
Yeah, both work.
It's the least interesting thing to me, and it kind of hurts the movie. I mean, because even when I was walking out, I did overhear some people saying, "Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun," but it wasn't as good as Dazed and Confused. And it's like, I mean, why would you make that comparison anyway? But it's given out there for them, so I don't blame people for thinking that. It's just, it's kind of sad that they have to pull that off. Like, even in the marketing, it's like, Richard Linklater, who brought you Dazed and Confused. You remember that, guys? And they got to do that just to get people to go in.
Well, it's like we
and promise them a similar experience of sorts.
If people didn't know that this is the guy that did Dazed and Confused, they probably wouldn't see it, and they probably won't see it anyway. This weekend it's going to be Batman versus Superman again, and then God's Not Dead 2. Probably Zootopia in third place. I'd be surprised if this got like 4 million this weekend. It would be awesome if it did.
I know. I'm surprised, like, because I actually saw through your review. It's like, yeah, I honestly, that's what triggered the whole, like, have many people heard Richard Linklater thought in my head? But also, I was actually just surprised to find that this is up to like 19 theaters now after it started in 5 on Tuesday, and 3 of them of which are here in Austin, and they're all within like a 5-mile radius.
The other 2 are
close
here
to me, so I'm like,
it was the Landmark,
so it's like,
and the AMC Galleria, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, is it even going to hit wide at some point, or is it just a slow
yeah, they're
rollout?
doing the like Annapurna did the we want to do it small, word of mouth, get it big thing. They didn't want to jump the gun, which they kind of do with the marketing. I hope the T-shirts are like a lasting thing. Did you get one?
No, I didn't. But I showed you the special beer that they're brewing here in Austin, and I did keep the can for that, although I didn't have it last night. But I hope word of mouth works for it. Like, I saw this with a sold out crowd, and we were all having a ton of fun with it.
I saw for first day we had a pretty good crowd. Like, everyone was bundled in the middle, but like almost the whole length of the theater was in the middle, at least like 5 people. So like, not bad for like a movie of this caliber with an early release on a Tuesday. So I really, really, really do. Like, if I was still working in a movie theater, this would be the movie that I'd be pushing this weekend for ticket sales. Like, oh, you haven't heard of this? Check this out. And yeah, I would market it the way that they are. I'd say, have you seen Dazed Confused? Imagine if instead of the last day of summer, the last day of school, it was the last day of summer.
It's the first 3 days of, it's basically week 0, just right before classes start. They have that countdown in there. Like,
which is pretty effective. Talking about the 3 days, probably, it's really hard to talk about this movie without ruining anything, but then you can't really ruin anything because, like I said, it is a hangout movie. There is no plot.
Yeah.
But one of the cooler things, I think, is that the 3 nights, and they do have a conversation about this, and it's really great, they'd have like 3 different experiences. Night 1, they go to a disco bar, which is kind of like, what it was. It's called the Sound Machine, which is kind of like the hangout room in Dazed and Confused. Night 2, they do go to a punk show, and then they go to a country line dancing bar. Night 3, they like hang out with some drama nerds and get all artsy fartsy. And
well, it's not. I could nitpick and tell you that's not exactly how it went down, but but yes, I get what you're saying. It's just a bunch of different chaotic things that happen, and that was what college was. I mean, at least for me, it was always just a bunch of different stuff going on. It's not like high school where you're just in your own clique and you're doing the same thing all the time. It's like there are options out there, and it's cool.
I think that's why it reminded me of Slacker, because it had instead of jumping around from character to character and getting their point of life and their slice of the day and what they were thinking about, instead you get these shades of what it would be like to be a disco fan, a punk, a country fan, like a drama nerd, and it made me go, this was what Linklater's experience was like in the early 80s in Austin when he was in college, and he was trying his best to really put that out there. Plus, he's a baseball fan. As I said earlier, he did the Bad News Bears remake with Billy Bob Thornton, so you get a couple of baseball scenes there. But the fact that it's, it's a team hanging out and getting to know one another and their antics, lots of really fun. And I think, I doubt you knew who he was before going in, but Glenn Powell, the senior, like the Van Wilder character in the movie that just knows everything, that's trying to fuck everything that moves. I thought he was probably the best thing in the film, and I knew him because he was one of the standouts on Scream Queens this past season. So I was very happy to see him in a movie that it wasn't just the weird writing on the show that worked for him. I think he's going to be getting lots of roles because of this.
No, see, that's what works for me is that these are all mostly unknowns, and I did not know who he was. I didn't know who any of these guys were. That's kind of what makes it more effective as a hangout movie.
You didn't recognize Ryan Guzman?
No, I didn't.
The guy from the last two Step Up movies. He's also in The Boy Next Door with Jennifer Lopez.
I didn't recognize him though.
Oh, yeah,
but, I mean,
he had a mustache.
I guess I'm aware that he has stuff, that he has other stuff, but I mean, it's funny. Even Dazed and Confused, like that first time when I saw that back in high school, like that was the benefit, that it worked to the benefit of the movie, that I didn't know who anybody was
in high school. You didn't know?
Except of course I didn't know who any of them were.
Adam Goldberg.
Except for of course Ben Affleck.
What about Adam Goldberg?
I didn't.
Nicky Katt.
He was probably one of those guys where it's like I recognize him in some stuff, but I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that I had seen him in Saving Private Ryan. Ben Affleck I fucking knew, but of course that's part of the joke, so that was fine. That worked to the movie's benefit. But I mean, yeah, what I'm saying is just like I like that I don't look at these guys as movie stars.
You look at them as
I'm not
characters.
judging them based off their previous work. They're just these guys, and I'm in this movie and I'm hanging out with them. And it's fucking fun, and that's where something like this, where you just cast unknowns, works to the movie's benefit. And he's done that twice now. He knows that.
It is, it's the power of, like we said, him flying under the radar. He's able to put something out like this, which is a very, it's not a high-profile work, but yet there is this anticipation for his fan base, and not just that, but if you're in an indie filmmaking area, such as you and I are, or just, that's a lot of unknowns, and for their little fans, that has some kind of draw to, like Zoe Dutch is in this, as I said, as a quote-unquote love interest. And I really did like her scenes, by the way, with the lead. Like I said earlier, it had a Before Sunrise feel for me, even though it was completely different and more nuanced. It wasn't a magical night on the town, even though that kind of does happen regardless. I like their chemistry. It felt very natural. Unlike a lot of the conversation here that you could tell it was comedic writing and looking for like pullaways and gags. Speaking of which, the pro prospect baseball player, I love his introduction, especially when you get to know him later on in the film.
Everyone, you and the audience did. Everyone was laughing.
Oh yeah, that shot with the greenery around, like the frame within a frame, was so amazing. I think probably the worst part about this film was the Rapper's Delight sing-along. Just because
The what?
When they're all rapping together when they're driving around.
I didn't have a problem with that.
You didn't think it went on for a little too long?
No, it's a hangout movie. I liked where I was, and they were all into it. And it didn't seem like it was phoned in at all. Like, I never felt that for 1 second.
You didn't think it was weird that the black guy was, like, not rapping at all? He was just listening?
I wasn't looking for that, so no, I didn't think it was weird. I didn't look for that because I'm not racist.
It wasn't anything about being racist. There's one black guy in the movie. They're doing a rap song. I'm going to be watching the black guy.
It's just funny that you default to that, but no, I was not looking for that at all. I mean, it was a cool moment where did
you have a beer or two before you saw it?
I was drinking while I saw it.
Yeah, there you go. See,
I was early.
I was fairly sober.
I had 2 beers and a pizza, so I mean, I had bread to absorb the alcohol, but I mean, yeah, that moment did work for me. Like, it was still very early into the movie, and it was a way for the new guy to at least connect with these guys, and you could see that work in there. So yeah, a smile was slowly growing on my face as I was watching the movie, and that was one of those moments where that really started.
I mean, you probably can't tell by now because we've been saying nice things. We're not gushing over it. But when I walked out, I definitely wanted to see this right away. I would buy this for $1, definitely. I'd buy that for $1. Really, really damn good, just fun filmmaking. And it's weird too, because for the reasons that you weren't a fan of Magic Mike, this basically does the Magic Mike thing.
I was gonna say, and yeah, Magic Mike Double XL is a hangout movie. It's just I kept looking for a sequel more along the lines of that showed character growth instead of just hanging out. And yeah, maybe if I rewatch Magic Mike, then it could be more fun. Like I believe I even said that while we were reviewing it, that was my that was just my issue, is that it did nothing to develop it. But I don't know, maybe for that movie. This, yeah, I absolutely would buy it for $1. I mean, right when I got out, I texted my friend,
Go see
I
this
fucking loved
shit.
Everybody Wants Some,
Yeah.
because of course I would. Like, it's screw back. There's so many good movies that I saw within the past week that I would buy for $1. None of them are titled Batman versus Superman.
Well, neither for me either.
But
Almost saw it
well,
again
yeah,
this
but,
weekend.
I mean, this
though.
is. I don't know about you. It's just, this is a strange experience when I was walking out, because I missed my bus, so I didn't even bother taking an Uber. So I just walked back to my apartment, which is like 30 to 40 minutes walking. And when I watch movies, there's this nice thing that I get where for about 20 to 30 minutes, I still see the world of that movie. I've talked to you about this before, I think, where, it's
happens to me sometimes.
whether it's a score or just the vibe. When you're in the town that this movie takes place in, like, that feeling it still has not gone away. It's like, it's 22 hours later, and I'm still, I still have the soundtrack in my head. It's like I'm still seeing just certain areas, and just the vibe of the movie is just, it's completely, it's intoxicating. Like, and I fucking love that.
It's
so
funny you said
I mean,
that.
yeah, it's just, it's hard to, I can't, be objective or say why you have to watch this movie other than going back to the other work. But it's like, yeah, if you're in college and you just want to see something with cool moments and just hang out, and it's something that Richard Linklater does effortlessly, because it's not like he's trying to blow you away, he's just having fun, then yeah, by all means, fucking check this out.
It's funny you said that thing about, being in the town where it takes place and not being able to see it objectively. And it works as a great segue. The other film we both watched this week was Night of Cups by Terrence Malick. It did the same thing for me.
Let me tell you about you. I want to make you rich.
You see the palm trees? They tell you anything's possible.
No one cares about reality anymore.
Different these days. What's going on with you?
I can't remember a man I wanted to be.
Just don't threaten me with leaving, okay? Just do what you want to do.
You don't want love. You want a love experience.
Usually you watch, like, I'd seen Tree of Life, and, it's in New England, and you get these great coastal shots and dinosaurs and a whole bunch of stuff, or Thin Red Line. But it's always set in a certain place, and coincidentally enough, he has a South by Southwest movie coming out in, whenever it's released. But this one is set entirely in LA, and so I saw a lot of places that I've frequented, even Long Beach locations, including the Aquarium of the Pacific, the Long Beach Marina, downtown Long Beach, our new courthouse. But then you're in LA, and it's like you're on the Universal backlot, and like the Standard Hotel in both Sunset and downtown LA, and there's like Electric Daisy Carnival footage in Vegas, and Venice Beach and Sunset Strip.
Yeah, and even though I'm in Austin, I still had that effect watching this. I mean, especially when you're very far away from the place, it's like, oh, it's like a nice mental vacation back into home for just a little bit, which, was really nice. That was something that I really dug about this. The journey itself,
I don't know.
in this movie through character, not so much.
It's a Malick movie, it looks gorgeous, even though it's mostly hand cam, and there's some GoPro stuff in there, and it's Lubeski.
Yeah.
How the fuck does he work so much? Who knows?
I mean, I think I don't know how to classify this, like, 'cause I don't know if I would call this good necessarily. Like, it is Malick.
It's Malick
doing what he does best, and I do love watching his movies in a theater and just getting sucked in and absorbed into it, and just being in that world. Where just the way that he uses sound, how some voices are muffled, but it's like listening. It's like listening to one of those, just one of those like constant, like 8-hour long tapes of like waves crashing or rainforest sounds to calm you down. It's like that. It's like that, but through movies, and it's an incredible experience. And yeah, I do love being in that world, but I just didn't like being around this character who just wasn't growing. And I don't know, maybe it's just that's part of it. Is just that it's basically Christian Bale walking into limbo. And that voiceover is set up through the beginning.
It's
so,
a weird one.
I mean,
I
guess it's clear what it's going for. I just don't think I wanted to be there, and I don't know. I guess I can respect that it seems he got what he was going for. I just don't see the point.
Terrence Malick, he's one of those filmmakers, if you haven't seen his stuff, it's never about the plot. And so it kind of makes what we do on this show pointless. We're about not spoiling anything, not doing plot details. Well, even if we told you exactly what happened here, it wouldn't even hold a candle to the experience. It is a Malick film. Like Steve said, the sound mix has a big part to do with it, the way it's shot, the world making, and the fact that this takes place in Hollywood. And you still don't really quite know what Christian Bale's character is doing, but he must have money. He's involved with the studio system. Maybe he's the son of a famous producer. I kind of got that. But there's a lot. It has this whole tarot card reading going for it. That's where the title actually comes from. You get this shot of the title on a tarot card. But there's intertitles: the Moon, the Hangman, the Hermit, Judgment, the Tower, the High Priestess, Death, and I think the final one's Rebirth.
Which honestly, I did not even try to add those up together. There was just a point where I was I'm vaguely familiar now or aware of just what these titles are supposed to mean, but some they completely went over my head.
I was very lost during this movie. I watched it very late at night. I almost fell asleep towards the end. There was a couple of moments where it woke me up. I liked watching it for the cameos, to be honest.
Dan Harmon.
I didn't catch him, but you got.
Yeah, he was in an office.
Okay.
We're doing a story meeting, I think. But I mean, yeah, it's maybe. Yeah, without sounding pretentious, maybe that is the point, that you felt lost while watching this and maybe just drifted off, just like this character. Maybe. I mean, with this and with To the Wonder and Tree of Life, they are more movies that just capture a feeling. And I think though this one, it's just about being restless and just aimless and directionless and depressed, and and as relatable as that could be in some circumstances for me while watching this. It's very boring and inert to watch by its very nature, which just makes it very uninteresting to participate in. And why should I hang out with this character for 2 hours when he's just making decision after decision? He's making the same mistake all the time, expecting a different result, and it's just not changing his life the way that he hopes it will be.
When I watch a Malick movie, I look for. I mean, I haven't seen many. I still have to see Badlands and Days of Heaven, and
Days of Heaven is great.
I'm still waiting to see those on film, but it's like you said, they do encapsulate a certain mood. You feel a certain way, and you don't quite understand why. Maybe it's just how it, despite how beautiful it is or how weird it feels, it's both a documentary and a narrative, and it's also a time capsule, and it's so many things. And I liked, the opening narration, and Christian Bale says to some, you see the palm trees, they say anything's possible in this town. And you get this, this is going to be what it's like to be a part of Hollywood, and why people come here. And then, you get shots of Skid Row and a health place, a hospital off of it, and those kind of interactions, but they're pretty jarring compared to the gorgeous shots of the ocean and stuff in Santa Monica Pier. But it was definitely a weird viewing experience. Not the best movie. Can't recommend this one. But it's weird. It's just like Everybody Wants Some, in that if you are a fan of this director and his oeuvre, if you enjoy the stuff that he does, I think you're going to watch this and get what you usually get from a Malick film. It's not bad. It's just, I doubt I'll ever rewatch it, but it is kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean,
that
if you're looking at this solely for aesthetics, then if you want beautiful shots, if you want some gorgeous sound, if you want to be transported into some place, the way on my Letterboxd review that I described this, I think is it's meditation through film, and that that is fair. What it is for me. It gives you that, but there is also, this is a medium where story and character do matter, which yes, in a Malick film that is present. It's just here. It's about a guy who's just in limbo, as I've said several times now. And that's just, it's hardly interesting to just look at him and dissect him. It's pretty easy to do. And I mean, yeah, I guess, maybe you could by all means go for it. It's just, I just don't find his character terribly interesting. But that's based on design. That is how it's supposed to be. So I do think it at least left me feeling the way that it did. Just for me, I just don't want to go back.
It's pretty funny that the last two Malick films have featured the last two Batman. like To the Wonder.
It's very
in this.
true. Yeah.
It's like in some alternate universe, so you think they meta play. Oh yeah, I've been Batman. Oh yeah, I've been the Terrence Malick star before. It's like they're part of a even smaller seclusion of Bruce Wayne's.
I did make a joke a while back that with To the Wonder, that's sort of the that's a prequel to his Batman in a way.
Uh-huh.
Or at least just Batman's love life before he became Batman. I don't know, but I don't think that joke holds up anymore. I can't remember how I put it. I probably was drunk when I came.
You're
up
probably
with it.
drunk. I mean, that seems like the
Probably.
perfect state to watch one of Malick's movies. To be honest, it's
not drunk. No,
maybe
because
not
then you
drunk,
probably would get more restless. But on some other
not completely sober, definitely past normalcy.
But I do think that those movies, like if you get in that headspace, they can do that on your own. You don't need some sort of drug to do that.
I mean,
but
if you want to see a
really
laundry list of Hollywood personalities in a movie about Hollywood, which includes, Antonio Banderas, Joe Manganiello, Frida Pinto, Imogen Poots, obviously Christian Bale, Natalie Portman, Cate Blanchett, but then like weird comedic quote-unquote cameos from Nick Kroll, Ron Swanson, Joe Latruglio,
who was just staring at the camera the whole time.
It's really,
did you catch that?
It's pretty bizarre.
He's just standing in the back, and it looks like he's staring at the camera.
Lots of them though at this little party that happened, which kind of reminded me of 8.5 almost, like that, just the party. Like something that could have happened in that film. I'm sure there's someone out there that has a great essay, a great analysis of this film, and he breaks it down. You're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, why didn't I think of that? But from my perspective, and also sounds like Steve's, he's thinking a little further into it about limbo and things. From just a viewing standpoint, for just walking into this without knowing anything about it other than, oh, it's going to look a certain way and it's going to be atmospheric, gotta pass on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that this will polarize some people right when it starts, and you just see shots of the planet out in space. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like outtakes from the Tree of Life.
I mean, at least Tree of Life, they showed celestial imagery in the trailer, and people were making comparisons to 2001 for some reason.
I could see it. Like, there's so much of the dinosaur planet Earth stuff in Tree of Life. It's like a good 20-30 minutes of the runtime.
It's a whole segment of the movie. Yeah, but I mean, and plus, that trailer is still beautiful. Like,
it's a beautiful movie. It looks much better.
Yeah, but I mean, just that trailer. Like, if you want a 2.5 minute representation of what that movie is, that trailer is pretty good for it. And if you don't have the patience to sit through Tree of Life, then that trailer might be enough. It's a really gorgeous trailer.
I can't imagine watching Tree of Life at home. Like, seeing it on the big screen was a real special experience. I saw this one at home, and I didn't mind so much because it was some grainy footage. Like I said, there is some GoPro and HD stuff, and a lot of handheld, versus how immaculate the framing was in Tree of Life.
Well, you could do it like with VR, I'm sure. I've done it at home. I have the Blu-ray, and I've done it with great sound. That's funny is that for Tree of Life and for the Blu-rays of the Thin Red Line, right when you hit play, then there's a ticker that comes up and says Terrence Malick recommends that you play this movie loud.
That's what this one said,
and that's true for both movies.
It was like
so it's like I can't.
What it said, the filmmakers recommend that you play this as loud as possible.
Yeah, like it literally says that on the Criterion Blu-ray for
Very cool.
Thin Red Line. You hit play and then something comes up. It's just like, hey, just so you know, you should turn it up to loud, and then you got to hit a button again to play it.
Yeah, I heard it. I listened to this one with my headphones.
If you have like a room, if you're in a dark room at home, and you got a big enough TV for it and a good speaker system, then yeah, it can definitely still be transportive, I think. But yeah, the theater is the ideal place to see that.
Well, we haven't done this in a while. Did you catch anything else this week?
A lot of stuff that...
anything notable?
That is not Batman versus Superman. First off, have you heard of this movie called Too Late?
Nope.
All right, well, this is what it is that it's a movie that premiered last year at Fantastic Fest, and ever since then, it's been on my radar because I've heard some people whose opinions that I trust discussing about how great it is. What it is that, first off, if you are going to see this movie, the only way that you can see it is on 35mm film. It was shot on 35. They're only making prints on 35. Their distribution right now, it's all 35. Even the titles for this movie, they shot it on 35. Like, I don't even know if there's a DI or if they even edited this digitally whatsoever. Because I mean, yeah, if they want to put it through streaming, but yeah, like. It's all 35. What this is that it's a movie shot with 5 takes.
It's one of those.
and it's I think the official way, like, it's not film noir, but it's being described as a crime noir, and it's 5 different scenes that are all put together out of order. The easiest way to compare that is, you know, how Pulp Fiction tells its stories out of order, and you start piecing it together with what happens when and what goes on, and by the end of that movie you get the full scope of everything that happened. So this is like that, and it does center around this murder, and it's so good. Like, it's so far this year, it's my favorite fucking movie of the year. Like, for a while, like while you were watching Batman vs Superman, I saw this that Friday night, and I was thinking about it for like 3 days.
Wow.
And it's so good. It stars John Hawkes is in it. You know, Jeff Fahey's in it. Robert Forster's in it. You know, there's a bunch of several knowns and some unknowns in there. Really, like, I mean, what's awesome about this, though, is, like, I do think the 35 exclusivity thing might have something to do with it, because, like, it's just, it really is a true achievement in filmmaking. I mean, the first segment, like, it's literally 5 continuous takes. Maybe some cheats in there, because there is, like, a really clever use of split screen, but yeah, like, I mean, the very first take on just a technical level is such an accomplishment. How they're ever to just block a scene that takes within the scope of like 2 miles, like, you know, just playing with zooms and all that.
Well, if you're impressed by that shit, you need to watch Victoria.
No, like, that's part of why Rope is going to be our debt to cinema in 2 weeks, is that there's Victoria, there's
Victoria's, like, if you comparing Rope to Victoria, the cheats are very, very obvious in Rope. You'll see in the weeks to come.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's like, it's been experimented with. I mean, this, it's because of the limitation of film, you know, and how long the film cans can go. It has to be 5 scenes, but it's really, really awesome how it works. It's really fun putting this puzzle together. It's just the way that these scenes are all staged and how they're blocked is so good. I don't want to talk too much about this movie. Just you have to see it. Like, I think it might roll out in LA at some point. Because I mean, yeah, you know, the director actually did introduce my screening only because there was a Q&A at the one before, and I was not able to make that because it sold out, but then he stuck around to at least introduce it and throw in some tidbits. Yeah, I want to see this again as soon as possible in a theater. Like, it's that good.
Yeah, I just did like a baby check. It doesn't look like it's coming here. They're probably doing a road show, so it might be here in the weeks to come.
Yeah, they did say that, well, it's on its exclusive 35mm run, but they did say that this is one of those few cases where Austin is the first city to get the print while it's in limited before, you know, LA and New York do. So I don't know, who knows when it's going to come. You know, I tweeted about this. I really think that this deserves an exclusive engagement at the New Beverly, more so than fucking.
Oh, now I remember. Yeah, I caught your tweet about that. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, this movie should be seen. It's really good, and I don't want to talk too much about it. But
New Bev has an actual calendar right now, and Hateful Eight is very happily not on it. Lots of cool stuff. They're doing a Raiders of the Lost Ark double feature with, what is it? I can't remember right now.
Temple of Doom.
Oh no, and The Invisible Agent, that movie we were talking about, the Invisible Man third sequel, where it's a woman who is working for the government or something.
Oh man, I'm gonna look at that right when we're done with this, and I'm gonna cry that I'm not there, that I can't see anything. But you know, at least I can see The Hitcher. There is that, or I can see Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke here on 35.
I was gonna say, have you never seen that one?
What, The Hitcher?
No, Up in Smoke.
No, I have not.
You're gonna be intrigued. It's fun. I have a feeling, I've never seen it with an audience, but I have to guess that it'd be a really, really great experience with a crowd.
Yeah. Though, so I mean, that's too late. I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to overhype it, because I just have a feeling like I might be doing that. But really, this blew me away, and I just found myself thinking about it. It's just rare that a crime film, for me, just because they feel, for the sake of plot, they feel so calculated most of the time, and they just don't have characters that I'm that interested in. Here, maybe it's the way that this is structured, but I was really, really into it.
Victoria's also a crime movie.
It's a crime movie?
Yep, got you now, didn't I?
Well, I wish I didn't know that. I really did. Yeah, it is. I know it's on Netflix, and I'm trying to get to it as soon as I can. Honestly, I did consider just making that a debt to cinema, because that would be closer to hardcore.
You could do
Henry,
that,
but
or you could.
I want to see Rope.
I'll probably rewatch Victoria when you do.
All right.
Because I liked it.
Yeah,
that
no,
much.
because I mean, that's it's probably going to be a discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
a good talk.
Aside from Too Late, you know what? There's a lot of other good stuff that I saw. You know what? Let's jump into horror. This is a movie that you're going to be able to see. What is it, like 2 weeks from now on Netflix? Yeah, Hush.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
So much. Yeah. I don't care about the date. I already saw it, and I don't have Netflix, so I'm not going to be able to. Well, I got access to Netflix. So. What?
Our listeners might care.
Yeah. No. And, honestly, it's a bummer that you can't see this in a theater, because right when the title for this movie comes up, like, it's just clear that you need a place with awesome sound to watch this. I mean, it really is a bummer, because I do think that they, aside from, the score being effective and loud in some places, like, yeah, and the sound design from this movie, right when it starts, it is loud, like, almost ear-piercingly loud for, like, the normal things by design, and it works effectively. I just don't know if people are going to get that same effect on their TV. They're probably just going to turn it down.
I think you mean on their iPhone.
That too. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, and there's some really clever ways that this is played with sound design. I know just based on the look of this movie, it seems like something you could watch on TV, but there are other technical things there. And also, I really enjoyed seeing this with the crowd. This was like, everyone was really into it. Like, this is by no means fucking amazing, but it's a really fun movie. The concept, it just having that death angle in there is a much bigger draw, and it leads for, like, some pretty big moments that just, normally there's moments in a horror movie where when someone sees something, they'll hear it and they'll scream. Here it's like, no, this person is not hearing it, and it's just happening around them as they're just going through doing their normal fucking routine. It's a really fun sort of twist on a kind of Most Dangerous Game sort of scenario. And, there really isn't much I can talk about it. It's just, I don't know if this will have the same play when it hits Netflix, though, just watching this on your TV, because if you don't have the crowd and you don't have the sound, then I honestly, I won't lie, like, I might not have liked it as much. I might have just had much more things to be distracted by at home.
Yeah,
I don't know, but you're probably going to watch this. Those... Yeah, you're probably going to watch this for Halloween, though, right?
Probably will, yeah. If I like it, I might check out Oculus, too.
All right,
whatever else they have by what's his name on Netflix?
Mike Flanagan.
Is it Mike Flanagan?
Yeah, and he's got something else coming this year, which we'll see how that turns out. And he's got Ouija 2.
Ouija 2.
Yeah, so he's got
a sequel to the adaptation of the occult board game that everyone's scared of, apparently.
That was critically panned, and yet he's got 2 well-received horror flicks under his belt, working with Jason Blum. So who knows how Ouija 2 is going to turn out? Might be scaringly good. I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt anyone's going to go see it. I mean, it didn't make bad money. It's a Blumhouse movie. They always make money.
It made really good money for them to go to sequel, but
it's, like The Purge election year is going to make money somehow. It's going to make money.
Like, well, I doubt it's going to cost that much. I mean, The Purge 2 barely
it's probably like
cost
15
more.
mil.
Yeah. Nah, but okay, so anyway, moving from home invasion to a real horror movie, Eye in the Sky. And
was that bad?
What?
Was it that bad? It was a horror movie?
No,
was
not
it Jesse
at all.
Pinkman? Was he that
not
bad?
Not at all.
It?
It's just, that's a real horror movie. I mean, just the idea, now that drone warfare, like, we live in that world, just the idea that right now, you, Brian Gillis, you're sitting behind your computer, and let's just say that next door to you, there's some sort of big weapons deal happening next to you or something, and they have the authority to strike, but the only problem is that you're in the way, and they got to decide whether you're going to live or die. I mean, and they might just decide that you're expendable and just, see it that, like, hey, there's no reason to care about this one person. The fact that there's people in the other part of the world that could be deciding your fate and you don't even know it, that's fucking terrifying, and that is what this movie is.
I mean, it's April Fool's Day, so maybe you won't believe me, but Edward Snowden did Ask Me Anything on Reddit today, and so he was talking about stuff like this, about NSA, and people were like, what would happen if you came back to the States? He's like, are you, like, what? I'd be tried for treason. I mean, I've followed this one in its production, and so I kind of want to see it, even though I have to imagine it's not the most riveting thing, because it's a lot of shots of a guy in front of a computer using, a joystick.
No, it's not just Aaron Paul. There's quite a few people, and it's just the whole bureaucratic process, and no one wants to take responsibility for calling the shot on this one. because they don't want it to be, if it becomes some sort of international incident that's in the media, then they know that they'll take the fall. So they're
sounds
constantly
like certain episodes of The West Wing or even House of Cards.
Yeah,
where
that's
they're
absolutely
in the
fair.
Situation Room.
It is a situational movie, or I don't know. I was gonna say procedural, but that's definitely the wrong word. Although, well, no, not really, because they are going by procedure, looking for legal ways and loopholes to make sure that they're doing the right thing. And it's always that conflict between the moral dilemma of doing what it is because they know that if they don't do anything, then something worse could happen, but also just that if they were to do it, then how are they any worse than the people that they're fighting against? It's, in a post 9/11 world where it just fighting and wars just become so much more dirtier, and it's hard to,
especially between Batman and Superman.
It's just hard to fight fair at this point, and that's always an issue in this movie. I mean, it's by no means amazing, but yeah, like it is something that left an impression while watching it. I know, and some people that are burnt out by Gavin Hood and I've lost faith after Wolverine. I didn't see Sootsie, and I thought Ender's Game was good, but yeah, no, I mean, he can make a solid movie, and this is really, really good. Definitely, I think this is, because it's low distribution, this is probably something that's going to hit Netflix like as soon as it's done with its theatrical run. And yeah, if you find it on there, then it might not be I think it's worth your time. It's just I'm very cautious of who I would recommend this to, because like it's not it's I wouldn't say challenging, but it's just, it presents all these conflicts, and it doesn't give you very, very easy answers, and it doesn't leave you feeling great at the end of the day, just because the situation itself, it's a mess. So it really, and it's hard to not take this seriously when you're watching it, just thinking about where we are now. So depending on how you feel about watching stuff like this, that's the best way I can recommend it. But yeah, it's on its own, it's a really, really good film.
Well, let me close out this episode with some TV. I watched on Monday, or when was that? I think it was Monday. The World's Finest episode of the Flash Supergirl episode, the crossover. As someone who's never watched Supergirl, I don't know if I can give a true critique, but I really did not like it. Grant Gustin was basically just like this presence that was thrown in the episode to make a lot of things happen. He made a relationship come into fruition. He helped save the day from two villains. He so many things. It was weird, and yet it was also kind of like the Earth 2 stuff. I don't know. I didn't like Supergirl. I didn't like what the actress that played, or the actress is fine, but I didn't like the personification. It seemed real whiny, and I don't know. It wasn't for me, but it was at the very least, it was notable because it was a CW character appearing on CBS, and I'm sure there was a lot of people like me that tuned in just for that reason.
I did see the pilot, and I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was pretty good, but it wasn't something that was necessarily for me, so I didn't stick with it.
It's a Superman show, but it's a girl, and that's the differentiation here. There isn't anything of note. It's just I was sent to protect my baby cousin, and I got lost, and now he doesn't need my help.
Yeah, and she's very preppy and optimistic, and it's that kind of show. I'm not in the target audience for that at all whatsoever.
I'm not the target audience either. It seems like its only reason to exist is that CBS, and I mean they also NBC, with their Wonder Woman failed pilot a couple years back, they were just trying to make a superhero show with a female lead. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. It's just, from the little that I saw, it seemed like, CW's offerings are already better. And they have Legends of Tomorrow, which has multiple female characters on the team. But if it's working for them, it's working for them. And it's, it's making money. And But this is what's weird, though. It had a 7-week high in turnout for the crossover episode.
What does that mean?
And the show's, over the last 7 weeks, the viewership was highest for this crossover. So I don't know what those numbers were previously, but that, to me, it seems like they needed to fix something. They threw in a new character from a more popular show, and I might see it this next weekend to see how what kind of show it is without Grant Gustin, because I'm telling you, like, he was just like, how do we make this love triangle work? Gustin. How do we defeat these villains? Gustin. How does she get saved? Gustin. Like, it was, and no matter what the problem was on the episode, it was like, oh, we got the answer, it's the Flash.
I think you might have answered my question, because like this was announced like back in January, right? Or I don't know if it was.
It was announced. This was like a month ago, a month and a half ago.
Yes,
like
I mean they shot this really, really quick. Like between the time that I mean, I guess I don't know if they announced it after they shot it. But I mean, yeah, it got put out really, really quick. Like
that's
the
TV,
first.
Though.
Yes, I mean, and yeah, I know that that's the way that TV works, and that's probably part of what feels so cheap about it. But yeah,
they filmed it during the break for the Flash. Like they had a 1 month sabbatical, and it just started up again this week on Wednesday. And during that off time that they had, Grant Gustin was lent to CBS to do this one episode. But yeah, not just it wasn't for me. It was kind of. I've also never been a fan of Supergirl. Like even when I watched Smallville, I didn't care for her character. It is
I didn't even know
the
she was
female Superman. Yeah, her Clark's cousin was like, it was a Laura Vandervoort. She was like pretty important for like 2 seasons, and then they basically wrote her off the show.
I mean, to me, it was always like, everyone knows who Superman is, and then when you find out there's a Supergirl, then it's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess there's another version to everything.
They did this thing. I mean, DC was really big about it, where like it was about making families. So like the real term for everyone involved in Batman's like crusade is the Bat family. You got Robin, Nightwing, Batwoman, Batgirl. Everyone. And so like that was a thing. Like they had Batgirl, they had Supergirl, they had Batwoman is her own character, and she's great now. But as far as I know, there was never a Superwoman, which wouldn't make sense because there's already a Wonder Woman. But then, like everyone had a sidekick, and everyone had this, and everyone had a family member. And it's weird to me. And it makes sense, though, because, like DC is making Superman movies, so he doesn't have to be on TV anymore. Same goes for Batman. I think that who knows? Like, it is technically in the Arrowverse now. I doubt it's gonna be lasting. I think it's gonna just be until the Wonder Woman movie comes out, and then the pull plug.
I don't know. It seems like the whole shared universe thing. It's like even before anyone's getting a real chance to compete with Marvel, it already seems like, I mean, at least for me, it feels like I'm burnt out by it.
We'll see.
Yeah, but hey, for fans, it seemed like there was a bunch of people on Twitter, like serious viewers, that didn't seem kind towards it. The average person that just wants to be entertained seems to really have dug it. So hey, who knows? I don't know. It seems more like that. It seems more like not I don't want to say necessarily for little girls, but I don't know, maybe like around age 12, they seem to be digging the show.
Like I said, it's a cool thing that there is a female-centered superhero show out there.
Yeah, definitely, and that people like it too.
So that is cool, but I'd rather just watch the Powerpuff Girls. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on Dead to Cinema, where one or both of us crosses a title off our list of shame.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too. And also under the same name on the Loveviews site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.
Look, I'll pay you for it.